there should be three other beautiful faces on the screen. But we're all going to introduce ourselves. So my name's Josh. Ladies first. And then we'll take it.
My name's Taylor.
I'm Jewel.
And I'm your co-host, Lauren. Let's get
because I do want to hear your opinions on general, like just cancel culture in general, right? Because I think every year we get more and more things that are cancelable, like events, right? And I see as more and more things happen, there tends to be two tones as to how people feel about cancel culture, right? I feel like some people feel like it's gone too far. People are too sensitive, you know. And then some people feel on the other end like, you know what, this cancel culture thing is not even real. It's like a sort of a facade where we say it. We might even have genuine intentions of it, but before you know it, 2-3 weeks down the line, some cases it has to be 2-3 months down the line, but everything just returns back to normal. So I wanted to know what you guys think about that.
I think it's an individual thing.
Yeah. An individual thing? Like dependent on the influencer?
No, depending on how you feel as a person, what your moral stance is. Only because I'm thinking of like fashion brands that have been boycotted, I guess you could say. Some people, to them it's like, yeah, I'm definitely not buying from this brand ever again. Some people, the glamour of the brand, the fact that it's designer, none of that even matters to them, that they've said racist things or they've, intentionally been offensive. So
but
anyway.
Do you think, obviously, out of principle, that the people who personally feel, it's whatever, do you think they should have some sort of duty to hold, like, for example, that person or that brand to account?
I think so, but if they don't want to, then what can we really do? Boycotting doesn't work unless everyone's together, and I don't think that's ever really going to happen. I don't think everyone's going to feel as angry as the next person.
So do you really think
effective?
So do you really support something like boycotting? Do you really think that that's something that should actually be done? Or do you think it depends?
I do think it works in some cases. But then I don't know, because then the apologies come out and then you don't know if they're being genuine. You don't know if they're apologising because they've been boycotted and they're losing money and losing fans, or they're actually like, oh shit, we fucked up, we need to do better.
I don't know, because for me sometimes it's like, okay, we can boycott something, but so it can be, because cancel culture can be with anything. It's not always about like black or white. Yeah, something could be like they said something against women, or they said something against whatever group you want to think of, right? And then it's like, okay, cool, we could boycott this company or we could boycott this group or whatever. But for example, if it's a company, the people that have been offended or whatever probably, they have that type of people under them. So let's say they've offended women. That company probably employs women. So if you go and boycott that company, you are affecting women's lives. So is it a thing where it's like, okay, but we just want what we want to be heard, so whoever has to take a hit has to take a hit? Or can there be another mechanism used where you don't actually have to end up secondhand affecting the same people that you want to, I don't know, uplift?
The thing is, boycotting, I don't think boycotting happens actively, like most of the time. I don't think it really happens. One thing that I have noticed though, if influential people just stop buying something, stop wearing it, stop showcasing it, it will just go out of fashion, and people will stop buying it. So, like a good example is I don't know, Michaela, if you're like into makeup or whatever. The boys, I'm so sorry, but have you heard of Huda Beauty? Okay, so a whole bunch of like people of color on YouTube realized that there wasn't a lot of diversity on Huda's Instagram page, right? So you just slowly started to see that, and like I bought the foundation when it first came out, but you just slowly started to see that it wasn't used in tutorials anymore. It wasn't mentioned. All these other foundations were being pushed. Everyone started buying Fenty when it came out, and everyone was Fenty, Fenty, Fenty. All of these like black-owned stuff started coming up, and people started buying that. And then as soon as like finally, it seems like suddenly it's like Huda's changing. Suddenly we're seeing black girls on her page. We're seeing mixed girls, we're seeing Asian girls, we're seeing people with skin problems and all kinds of stuff on her page. That's different. Like the dollar,
but is that
changes.
Isn't that what people want, right?
It's just they're using it as a device.
Yeah, but even whether it's capitalistic purposes or whatever, isn't that what you guys want?
The reason I would say it's a good thing.
You guys want it if it's disingenuous.
The reason I would say it's a good thing, especially in the beauty industry, is the beauty industry shapes what women want to look like. That's what, even in terms of this whole like beauty for women is a currency for women, right? Like if we then start diversifying what women can actually attain to be beautiful, a lot of things start changing in terms of how people accept themselves, how people do things, what people bring out. So even though that company might be doing, the black women are angry, okay, let's put some black people on the page, let's get some black influencers in. They're doing that, but eventually it'll become part of them. They'll start writing diversity things on their website, and it will become a principle. Because you know what, diversity and inclusion makes money. Diversity and inclusion is a very good business model. Like it should be part of your business model. Because once you start being able to tap into also those different spaces, not only do you get support from this group of people in terms of their money, but you also get like all these little companies like mimicking you, which gives you a little bit more elevation, because it's like, well, we were the people that were doing it the whole time. Companies that were doing it ages ago, like Lancome, I don't even know anyone that uses Lancome foundation anymore. And they did it ages ago. People they've had the shade range for ages, but people that like started bringing it in, and it was like we started pushing it, and they had to make that change. It's like they're the ones getting big because they're actually having.
So you're saying it's good to be fake?
I'm not saying it's good to be fake, but what it does in the long term for black people, for Asian women, for people of color in general, is change the space. It's the reason why we have the models that we have today. Like it's the reason Winnie Harlow can walk the catwalk because of stuff like this. So like, I get what you mean by like.
So are you saying that cancel culture is doing its job perfectly right now? Is that what you're saying? Cancel culture it's found its perfect equilibrium. It's working beautifully.
What I don't like about cancel culture is it never comes of just like, okay, by principle, this is wrong, so I'm not going to support you anymore. It's always disgusting. Like the things that people say is disgusting. People aren't doing things according to principle. They're doing things according to anger, and anger is an emotion, and emotions are fleeting. So it's not going to stick. Like in the long term. Laura Lee had her decline, and she's getting back up there. All of this stuff with Nella, all this anger. Then the anger she'll come and bang out some funny video because she's funny. And that will be it. Like, because people aren't making these decisions based on principle. Like, it's not like my principles tell me I cannot buy. It's you're angry, you're upset. And now when you're no longer angry, it's not on your mind anymore, you'll buy. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Or maybe
fair point.
maybe it's a completely whole other discussion between principles and consumerism. Because maybe all of this is that we just can't get over consumerism. Maybe some people genuinely have principles, but consumerism is just so strong that we just can't get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably
Personally,
Could just be that.
no matter how good an R. Kelly
Could be as
song
simple
is,
as that.
I'm not singing along.
That's your principle.
Yeah.
That's the principle.
Yeah.
Like, R. Kelly
No
songs
matter
are good. And if you made that decision based on
catchy that
emotion, you'll
song is.
listen.
I'm not gonna lie. If you put on that "Step in the Name of Love,"
Yeah, I
the
mean,
thing,
I'm not
great
gonna
song, but
lie.
I thought it's gonna
singing
be.
along.
I was watching Space Jam on Netflix like a couple of days ago. I heard I Believe I Can Fly. I felt some type of way.
You just gotta imagine it's not happening.
Yeah.
Just start.
That one is a tricky one. I'm not gonna lie, because then it spirals into like someone like Michael Jackson. Because I know when Michael Jackson, his documentary came, or what was it? Leaving Neverland, Surviving Neverland, something about Neverland. I'm not gonna lie. If Michael comes on the playlist, I'm not skipping. I'm not.
Were you fully convinced?
This is the difference. Are you convinced by that trial?
I
wasn't convinced either. So then it was like,
it's different.
It's different.
It is different because R. Kelly, that one is a done deal. Everybody knows that's
people were making jokes about it from when I was in secondary school.
Yeah.
We all knew
This is another example because we all knew about this before. So why is it now that only after they done Surviving R. Kelly that it's like now I can't play the music, but you knew about it before Surviving R. Kelly? That's why for me it didn't feel right to just be like, no, I'm not going to play his music anymore. Although I understand the documentary made it very like
I highlighted it,
like right in your face. Yeah, like it made it like it put people like real life individuals to the stories. But I'm not gonna lie, I knew about it before.
But how something's presented to you in your youth,
we were children.
Presented to you when you're an adult are different things, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier. But
that's a good point.
I remember, I don't know if you guys saw this or remember this. There was like a little kid that was like wanted to be a comedian, and he went on some show. And he made a joke. He came onto the stage and he was like, "Oh, Kelly stole my girlfriend." And this guy was like 10 years old. Like, it was like...
Wow, girlfriend.
And this was a joke. Adults in the crowd were laughing. King. Like, and when... Like, but I feel like what I knew back then was the whole Aaliyah thing. And then something about him peeing on someone. That was from Boondocks. So, but if that's presented to me on Boondocks on a cartoon, like it's in an unserious environment where I'm hearing it. Yeah. Also, as a kid, I didn't really have a concept of sexual abuse and what that was. So it's a different space. But as soon as I kind of was re-informed as an adult who now has a more thorough understanding of what sexual abuse is, that how people get into those situations. And you also have to remember that it was a different time as well in terms of people's attitude towards sexual assault and being minors and all this kind of stuff. We're in a different space. So now that we're in this more informed space, we heard that again and we were like, done.
I understand that. I feel like everybody should be able to make their individual decision on it though. I feel like that with most things though. I always feel that I don't feel like it should be a thing where if someone doesn't reach the same conclusion as you start looking at them funny. I feel like you should be able to understand that, okay, this is what made you feel like this, and this is what has made this person feel like this. But sometimes it seems like that level of understanding disappears in these situations, and it's like, listen, if you don't think about it the exact same way I think about it, then it's like you're either evil or like you're part of the problem.
Imagine if like one of R. Kelly's songs was like your first dance song. Imagine if one of R. Kelly's songs was like your first dance song at your wedding.
That's a lot of people out there.
A lot of people.
Millions of people out there.
Yeah, I Believe I Can Fly.
Think about every primary school was banging out I Believe I Can Fly. Every primary school.
Yeah.
Like that song probably brought you so many like pleasant memories of your wedding day, and it was probably a very romantic song for you and your partner. And now everyone's telling you can't listen to it anymore. I'm not gonna lie, if you're in your house with your partner reminiscing on your wedding day, I'm not gonna hold you to it. Like personally, I'm not gonna hold you to it. But like similar to what you're saying, like
it would go further to
I guess. Go on.
Yeah, no, it would go further to the personal choice thing, because obviously if something is having such a profound effect on you, it'd be hard to cancel in any context, any brand or any person if it has such a profound effect on you. Obviously, for people who don't cancel Gucci or whatever, they don't do so because they don't necessarily in principle want to. It's just because it's always in your face. It's what everyone's wearing. It's always in your face. So no, I do get it.
I don't know. For me, yeah, if like after surviving R. Kelly, yeah, most of the energy went into, so how are we gonna start protecting young black women? What are we gonna do? Over how are we gonna get R. Kelly's music cancelled? Because R. Kelly's music is not doing anything now, this minute. Yeah, it's not the issue anymore. We need to think about how we actually protecting young black women or young women in general, right, from predators. If I felt like, yeah, more of the energy went to that rather than how we're going to get his music cancelled, then I think I would have felt more like, yeah, this was productive, this was good. But it just felt like everything was on how we're going to make sure R. Kelly goes to jail, which is good. We need him in jail. Because it's a message, right? Yeah. But it was more of how are we going to get him in jail? How are we going to get his music cancelled? You get what I'm saying? Than how are we actually going to solve the problem that is actually there and still there right now? Because if you go and listen to his song right now, nothing is going to happen to a little girl if you go and listen to his song. But if we don't actually figure out how to protect young women, something is going to keep happening to little girls. You get what I'm saying? So where does our attention go?
Like in terms of like sexual assault and this kind of like the cancellation of stuff like that. I was just thinking, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly. There's backlash, and obviously we knew about R. Kelly ages ago. There was stuff that came out of the whole Bill Cosby thing. But Harvey Weinstein, that's what seemed to really push things, right?
Yeah.
There's a very distinct difference into how the world reacts to the abuse of black women versus the abuse of white women. There's a massive difference. Like the actual media outrage at the fact that Harvey Weinstein was raping and molesting women and touching them up and doing all kinds of rubbish. In regards to, yes, there was outrage to the Bill Cosby stuff, but there were so many jokes. There were so many, like, even in our black spaces, people were like, people were like, oh, I'm still going to watch this, I'm still going to do that. And still, because first of all, we as a society, even though we blame, we can blame colonialism and all the stuff.
Harvey Weinstein jokes were made, though. I feel like
to the same scale
people took it. Like, I remember because and I think the difference is because Harvey Weinstein is more of like an exec, yeah, whereas Bill Cosby, R. Kelly are like the actual entertainers. Because do you remember when that comedian, I can't remember his name, but he's like kind of bald.
Oh yes, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
White.
Yeah.
When it was him, it was jokes. It wasn't really taken that seriously. Whereas, so I think it depends on the individual. If it's an entertainer, if it's a fame, because Harvey Weinstein was not. He's not anywhere near as famous. Well, before this happened, he wasn't anywhere near as famous as Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. You get what I'm saying?
But whereas, like, in terms of
if it's an entertainer. Yeah, no, in terms of power, he probably has more than both of them put together. But I'm talking about fame, right? In terms of fame, he wasn't as famous as them. And I think that's why
I feel like people didn't want to take R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. That was like it's like in their heart, like they're famous. We love R. Kelly.
It's like it was more of they're in an entertaining bubble. Like everything about them is processed through the vein of entertainment. You get what I'm saying? Like, most people don't know the movies that Harvey Weinstein produced. I mean, they know the movies, but they don't know he's the one that produced them. You get what I'm saying? So there's no attachment. There's nothing there. But with these people, when we think of them, we, I guess, a certain part of our brain automatically like gets, I don't know the word, triggered or whatever, because we think of them in that space. So that's why you're more likely to get jokes from when people are talking about R. Kelly and Bill Cosby.
But I also think that we're seen as victims. We're not seen as victims as much as white women are. I think what you're saying is true, but I also think the other theory is true as well. I think they can both be true.
So if we think about images of black women, like younger black women and younger black boys in the media in general, a lot of their situations in terms of abusive situations, kidnappings, people disappearing, all this kind of stuff, we as a community ourselves make jokes about it and are a lot harsher. From a female point of view, a lot of the time we get compliments around being strong, being independent, not needing anybody. When in actuality, everyone needs somebody. Nobody's strong all the time. Nobody can be 100% independent. And it's to a point where when we're put in situations where we do need help and do need support, it's almost seen as a weakness, especially in like our communities in general. We keep things to ourselves. We don't talk as much. In terms of like how that kind of then transpires in terms of when things negative things happen in terms of our people and stuff, we're very quick to blame. So like in terms of R. Kelly having people stuck in their houses and stuff, there was all of this stuff around questioning the girls about why they don't want to leave and blah blah. Like they were like, the people don't know what Stockholm syndrome is. But with white women, it's fine. We understand Stockholm syndrome. We understand that people go through that and like they're not able to fully escape from their kidnapper or people that have abused them. But with black girls, we're so much harsher. Just get out and leave. You're not meant to have that kind of mental weakness where you cannot break yourself away from something. Like as much as people make certain jokes about like when little black boys go missing and everyone's saying, oh, they're in Cunch, like, still... some of them have actually gone missing, and if they're in Cunch, it's a problem too.
Yeah. That is as much a problem as if they got kidnapped. Yeah. It's true.
What kind of... We're so cold. We're so cold towards ourselves to a point where the white media doesn't even have to do it to us.
Yeah.
We do it to ourselves. It's reinforced by media, but we do it to ourselves. It's so harsh.
Yeah, I mean, I just think
cancel stuff. We are bringing down our own people. Like, genuinely.